morning. Today I will be discussing with you a recount of my cultural heritage. After discussing my familial history with my parents, I have chosen to inform you on part of my descendancy that is not native to a foreign country. Rather, I will enlighten you on my biological links to the people that first settled this land, the land that became known as North America, the Native Americans. When I interviewed my parents for information on our family's heritage, I found that I am a descendant of many different ethnic groups. For example, my father is almost entirely of English descent, and my mother is a mixture of German, Irish, Scottish, and French-Canadian descent. However, in my discussion with them, I found that my dad has bloodline ties to Navajo Native Americans, a well-known tribe, while my mother told me that her mother, so my grandmother, was of partial relation to a tribe called the Algonquin, whose people settled around the Great Lakes and surrounding areas, such as Quebec, Canada. In this speech, I shall cover the familial relation of the Algonquin tribe on my family's history, the geographical settlement and location of the Algonquin Native Americans, the agricultural techniques used by Algonquian farmers, and the adaptation of the Algonquins to Michigan's climate. I intend to inform you on the Algonquin tribe as it shaped a large portion of my maternal side of the family's history. My late grandmother was partial Algonquin herself, and while I cannot interview her personally, I have brought with me several of the items which richly reflect her heritage as well as mine. These items, while not necessarily authentic, may imitate the image of part of the Algonquin lifestyle. So, for instance, this is a deer skin, these are moccasins, and these are arrowheads, since the Algonquins were hunters and gatherers. The Algonquian tribes of Native Americans were known for settling along the geographical area that is now known as the Great Lakes Canadian border, and this extended all the way to the Atlantic coast. While my grandmother's ancestors originated from the upper Vermont area, the Algonquin Native Americans also settled in and around the Great Lakes due to the access to fresh water and fishing opportunities. The state of Michigan actually gets its official name from the term Maisigama, an Algonquian Indian word which means great water, hence the name the Great Lakes, because the Algonquins were in close proximity to several water sources on all sides. While Michigan remains a temperate climate for growing crops, the Algonquin natives relied more on hunting, fishing, and gathering rather than farming. The natives hunted for deer, moose, and other small game. Besides fish and meat, the Algonquins also gathered berries and wild plants to eat. In the early spring, the Algonquins practiced the habit of tapping maple trees in order to make maple syrup. And the few crops they did cultivate consisted of mainly corn, which they supplanted with beans and fertilized with fish. The Algonquins lived in a region which is known for its brutal winters and scorching summers. That being said, the Algonquin natives had several specific ways to build sufficient shelter during these changing seasons. According to the Encyclopedia Military Collector and Historian, one of these housing options consisted of making a wigwam, which was a dome-shaped thatched house. These houses were easily movable, making it easy to take down or to put up. When an Algonquin built a wigwam, he stuck several long poles in the ground in a circular fashion and tied them together at the top. After this, he used several woven bark mats to cover the new frame. This ensured the wigwam would be watertight. In colder weather, several members of the Algonquin tribe would come together to build a longhouse. The longhouse followed the concept of a wigwam. It was the wooden frame covered by woven bark mats, only it was much longer and larger. While a wigwam usually serviced one family, a longhouse could service several families, with the biggest ones housing more than 60 people. The Algonquins living in a longhouse could work together, sharing food, heat sources, clothing, hunting skills, etc. In closing, I found that researching my cultural heritage has been an interesting experience to have. It has taught me more about my familial history and the places I have descended from. In retrospect, I am glad that I chose to speak on the first race of people to ever inhabit this land, and the specific race that I have ties to, the Algonquin Native Americans. I hope that this presentation was informative on my genealogical heritage, and sufficiently adequate in describing the Algonquin culture as well. I hope that I've piqued your interest. Thank you.